All right, let's just jump right into this. We're going to talk about a feeling that I bet a lot of us have been having lately. It's this weird disconnect, right? You feel like you're living through this time of incredible world changing progress, but for whatever reason, you just can't get excited about it. So today, we're going to dig into that feeling and really try to figure out where it's coming from.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You see a big headline about some historic rocket launch or a new AI breakthrough, and you know, logically, yeah, this is a big deal. But that feeling, that spark of excitement or collective pride, it just isn't there. What is going on with that?
And this is where it gets really stark. On one side, you've got this grand story of human achievement rockets to the moon, incredible AI, these giant leaps for mankind. But on the other side, well, that's real life for so many people. It's worrying about cooking gas shortages, a constant feeling of insecurity, or just, trying to make it through the day. And that huge gap between the headline and your reality, that's where the cynicism starts to creep in. So let's kick things off with our first big example, all the recent excitement about humanity going back to the moon. On paper, that should be incredibly inspiring, shouldn't it?
This just says it all, doesn't it? The point here isn't that science or exploration is bad, of course not. It's about a clash of priorities that feels almost impossible to ignore. When you are genuinely worried about putting food on the table, something as far away and abstract as a mission to the moon, well, it can feel less like a victory for all of us and more like a massive, expensive distraction. And this really gets to the heart of it. It's a simple idea, but it's so profound. Progress basically becomes a luxury item. It's something you can only really afford to care about once your basic survival is taken care of. When it's not, progress doesn't just feel distant, it can feel completely and totally irrelevant. There's this line from the source material that just sticks with you. Is this the ultimate proof of the human spirit? That even when things are falling apart, we still reach for the stars? Or is it something a little darker? Is it a kind of cosmic escapism? Just abandoning the fires we have here on Earth to go start over somewhere else? It's a tough one, right? Something to really think about. Okay, so let's shift gears now. From outer space, let's turn to our inner space. Because we see a very similar disconnect when we look at the rise of modern spiritual gurus and their promise of helping us find inner peace. This makes you ask a really critical question. What are these gurus actually fixing? I mean, can their teachings really help someone understand the dizzying pace of AI, or escape an abusive relationship, or solve huge systemic problems like hunger and addiction? The argument here is that they often teach people how to cope with things that maybe shouldn't be things we have to cope with in the first place. Now, the common defense, and look, it's a fair point, is that their job isn't to fix the outer world. Their focus is on our internal landscape, our thoughts, our emotions, our anxieties. But, and this is a big but, here's the powerful counterargument. Our inner world doesn't just exist in some bubble. Our anxiety doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. A lot of the time, it is a perfectly rational response to all the instability, injustice, and fear in the world outside. So telling someone to just find peace within, without even acknowledging the chaos without that's crushing them, it can feel incredibly dismissive. And that brings us to our final, and maybe the most powerful example of all, artificial intelligence. Because with AI, the feeling isn't just one of distance, it's a feeling that we are actively speeding up, but in a direction that just feels wrong. Just look at this contradiction. On the one hand, you've got this incredible power, generating art in seconds, this promise of unstoppable progress. But on the other hand, there's this deep feeling of loss, a feeling that you're being forced to get on board with a technology you don't really trust, and the sense that the slow, messy, beautiful human process of creating things is being thrown out. This quote just nails the paradox that so many of us are feeling. We're suspicious, we're skeptical, but we're also using it. We almost have to, right? We're curious, and we're terrified of being left behind. So we end up becoming these reluctant participants in a future that we're not even sure we want. And this is the question at the very heart of the whole AI dilemma, isn't it? We are making these insane leaps in what our technology can do. We can literally build machines that think, and yet the really hard problems, like creating systems that make sure everyone has food and safety and dignity, those seem to be moving at a snail's pace, if they're moving at all. So, when you put it all together, are we just being cynical? I don't know, maybe. Or maybe this feeling is something else entirely. Maybe it's a perfectly logical response to seeing a future where all the amazing benefits of progress, whether it's space travel or AI, don't seem to be getting shared with everyone. It's tough to celebrate a party when you're not even sure you've been invited.
So, if that's the problem, what's the solution? How do we find hope when we feel this way? The source material doesn't give us some easy, magical answer, but it does point toward a different way of thinking about what hope even is. Look, it's not a secret formula. It's more like a practice. It starts by just saying these uncomfortable questions out loud instead of pushing them down. It means not buying into the simple, clean stories that technology companies or gurus are trying to sell us. And finally, it's about holding on to the idea that things could be different, even if we can't see the exact path just yet. And I think this is the perfect thought to leave you with. Hope isn't some treasure you just stumble upon one day. It's an active choice. It's a stubborn, and yes, sometimes really difficult choice. It's like a tiny flame that you have to guard and protect, especially when it feels like the whole world is trying to blow it out. And maybe just that act of keeping it alive is the most important kind of progress there is.